Welcome back to the What's Up Eddie channel, Divine Therapy Sessions. And of course, I'm the one and only Eddie. So glad to have you guys back. And these are my Divine Therapy Sessions. And in today's Eddie's Life Hacks, lesson number 6. And this is a lesson in courage. So it goes without saying, right? Like, courage is awesome. But what I want to say is courage in not just brave acts, right? Like, we all look up to someone who's courageous. So in my life, I've joined the army, right? And I went overseas. I deployed to Afghanistan. I've done things that, not a lot of people will do. And I should get a pat on the back. I'll go ahead and do that for myself. But though that was courageous, I found that there was other situations in my life where I displayed more courage and I was more afraid than I ever was in Afghanistan, or I ever was in the army. And this, I feel like, shows where, like, courage in your life, when you show it, even if you're afraid, even if you don't want to speak up, these things or this will actually help you, right? The only way to get through fear is to muscle through it. That's the only way to do it. You have to face off with it. Because when you face off with fear, you realize that it's an illusion. It's only something that you've made up for yourself. Well, they say fear is a false emotion appearing real. So you're making it seem like a reality when it's not. So when I had first spoken up about, the problems that I was having, I remember this was the first time that I actually had, because before I wouldn't say anything to anybody. And I remember when I was in rehab, I didn't want to talk to anyone about anything, right? And I remember the director of the whole program, he was sitting in on the meeting that we were having, and he was talking to everybody, and then I had said something about someone else, obviously trying to deflect, right? So the director said, well, let's look at it in a different way. Let's flip it on itself. And he started asking me questions. And I guess all I was waiting for in life is for someone to show me some attention, because he did. And he asked me questions he said, well, let's flip it on itself. And why do you feel that way about yourself, Eddie? And I remember it was the first time that I had spoken up and said the things that I was actually thinking in my head. That I said that I didn't like myself. I didn't like the guy I was looking in the mirror. I didn't like what I was doing. That I was talking about my appearance, the clothes that I was wearing. But what I was really saying out loud was that I wasn't feeling good on the inside, right? And I remember crying, letting all those tears out. And of course, my voice was shaky and I was scared. I hadn't spoken to anybody in a very long time because I was on the streets before that, right? So I was by myself. And when a lot of people don't know this, but when you're by yourself for a long, extended period of time, you start to get antisocial. You get a little weird. So I remember this moment where for me, it was where the light turned back on. And I realized everything that I was holding in my mind was way bigger than what it really needed to be. And when it melted away and I cried and I released that burden, and he said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, Eddie, if you learn anything in this program, if you learn what you just did, and if you take that with you and do that every time, which was transparency, honesty, courage, truthfulness. So there's multiple lessons in this, right? But this was, and I always say this: once you start doing something and you do it regularly, it starts to become a habit. And when you start making a habit of being courageous, wow, man, really amazing things start to happen. And this built off of that one moment. I started speaking up in groups more often. And then I started speaking up in the meetings, the major meetings that, were outside of the program. And then it built and it built. And before you know it, I started speaking up for myself, where I wanted to, do a certain program, which I ended up getting a scholarship for. And so avenues started to open up for me. But the amazing thing is today, you guys, right here, right now, I get to speak with you guys. I have courage and it took baby steps, right? But now I'm here, right here, talking to you guys, displaying a message for you guys. You guys, that's all I got on courage. Make a habit of it. It will change your life. Make sure to subscribe. I love you guys. I'll catch you in the next one.